When I was 18 years old, after I dropped out of high school, I had suffered a sudden cardiac arrest, and my heart had stopped for about 8 minutes. Drugs and alcohol kind of became part of my story early, and I remember being able to use my cardiac arrest afterwards, to my advantage with my addiction. You don't understand me. You don't feel the same way I do. I have this case of terminal uniqueness going on. And for a while I believed it, but it was a lie I convoluted on my own to try to get what I wanted to get, because that's how I was. I was manipulative, I was selfish, I was self-seeking. During my addiction, I felt like I just existed just to keep this addiction alive. In the beginning of it, it was fun. I was able to manage it somewhat until the point where I couldn't manage it. And I was nothing. I was not nothing, but I was just a body that knew how to move to feed its addiction. I felt like just a shell of a human. Got to the point where I didn't even want to be physically alive anymore, but I didn't want to die. I just didn't want to exist like this anymore. So I started coming to the Block Church with my wife in about a month after we got married. That was May of 2022. And I felt like I was dragged there, if I'm being honest. I'd be making a comment about everybody in my head during service, just completely in this negative, miserable mindset. When I was driving, and I had just used maybe an hour prior, I was on Route 1, and I said a prayer, and I said, "God, please help me, don't hurt me." And about 5 minutes later, I started to get really dizzy, but the paramedics showed up, and they brought me into the back of an ambulance. And when those doors closed, it was like I flashed back to that prayer for a second. It felt like my prayer was answered. I got out of the hospital at 3 p.m. and I had a plane ready for me to go to California at 6 p.m. out of Philly. Besides California, I had no idea where else I was going. And I remember being in the group room, still going through the process of detoxing. I'm holding this journal from the Block Church. That was one of the things, one of the places, one of the blocks basically that I needed to set myself up with. So, I'm not listening to myself now. I'm listening to what I didn't know at the time, but that was God telling me, you gotta go to church. The church asks you, whoever needs prayer is ready to give their life over. And I remember fighting this feeling, and then it just kind of broke me, and I raised my hand and I started crying. I started crying pretty heavily. I remember having a conversation with Pastor Matt about, can you get me signed up for baptism? And seeing the people around me, who saw me struggling in my addiction and saw me there supporting me, and seeing the look on their faces too, that not only am I doing this for myself, but the effects are actually having a positive effect on the people around me, because I'm only used to hurting the people around me, including myself. So seeing their faces, seeing my wife crying, for a good reason, not a reason I caused that as a bad reason, but a good reason, it was just like a change for me, and everything was just so pure about it. Life's great because I don't have to go and wake up sick anymore. I don't have to wake up with cold sweats looking for $5, $10. I don't have to come home and have my wife second guess me over everything or cry, because of something I'm doing. What I want and what I want to create for myself and what I can just let God create for myself are two totally different things. And his version's usually a heck of a lot better than my version. I'm Steven, and this is my block, his story.